Hello and welcome to Ninja Options Warriors, Fibonacci Extensions Basics. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my background. I'm going to share with you my disclaimer, what a Fibonacci extension is, how to set up a fib extension using the Thinkorswim tool, and how to trade options on a fib extension. So who am I? What's my background? My name is Dorothy Hay. I am the creator of the Ninja Trade. I am the lead options trader at ninjaoptionswarrior.com, a part of Dorothy Hay Associates, LLC. I have a graduate degree in adult education and a doctorate in holistic theology. I am a certified life coach and certified master NLP practitioner. Who I am not a financial advisor or licensed by any governing body. I am solely someone who has found success along the way, and I want to help others on their journey. And goes without saying, this is copywritten 2019, Dorothy Hay Associates, LLC. Here we have my disclaimer. Neither DHA nor the site, Ninja Options Warriors, nor any of our associates are licensed investment advisors. None of the information here should be construed as investment advice. This is for educational and informational purposes only. Okay, let's get right into it. Fibonacci extensions, what are they? I mean, a Fibonacci extension, they're a tool used by traders to determine potential profit targets after a retracement has finished. They can indicate potentially important price levels based on the size of a price movement. A Fibonacci extension can also mark an area of potential reversal. Some common Fibonacci extension levels, we have the 100%, the 1272, and the 1618. Let's go live to my platform right now, and I'm going to show you how to set up the fib extension using the TOS tool and how to trade options on the fib extension setups. So let's take a look. Let's start right up here. There are three different levels, right? I said the 100%, the 1272, and the 1618. So we're going to start with the first level, which is known as 100%, also known as symmetry. You might hear people who trade off of the extensions talk about symmetry or the symmetrical level. That is this level right here. See that 100%? That's this level. And how did I find that? Well, the first thing you want to do is pull up the drawing tool for Fibonacci extensions, right? On Thinkorswim, you go to drawings, you come down here to the Fibonacci extensions tool. Click it. All right, and how did I get this? I'm going to show you. Let me remove it. And now let me show you how I got there. All you want to do, the main thing with a Fibonacci extension is you want to measure a price move. You want to see how much money this particular stock could move when it swings, right? When it goes to the upside. So we're going to take a prior swing. We're going to measure a move off of, let's just take we go from the bottom of that move to the top before it turned around. And then we measure it off any one of these lows, or I like to go to the low right before, right? There's a few areas in there, they all sort of line up, but I want to go to the low right before. And that gives me what's known as symmetry. That gives me the approximate move, price move that this stock could make from here. And it's doing it, right? It's literally hitting that symmetrical level. If you didn't know that was there, you might get in this stock and you're trading the options, or you're trading the stock and you're like, oh, this thing's going. But you didn't realize there was resistance right here at this 179 area. Well, that's the symmetry, right? Let's take a look at another one, EDU. EDU, we measured, again, I'll take it out so you can see what I did. I'm going to remove it. So I just took a previous low to a high, right before it turned around, right? And now I want to measure it off of a more recent low. Look at that. And you can do it off of anywhere. You can do it, measure it here to here or here off of a low. It's going to give you a couple of areas, right? $100. $100 is a psychological level. The other thing you can do, I'm getting a little bit ahead right here, but I'm going to add the extension, see if that lines up with anything. See that? See how that 1272 lines up with that second symmetrical level? We'll talk about that more in a minute. I'm just going to remove that. And again, so I took a previous low to a high and measured it off of a recent low. Oops. Low, come on. A low to a high and measured it off of a recent low. and that gives me symmetry. That gives me 100% of the move. If it makes the same type of move, the same amount of money on that move, this is where it's going to land, right? And it literally did that, and it hits that resistance. Let's look at lift. Same thing, right? We took a low to a high, did a couple of them, but I'll remove them so we can show you exactly how to get there. So I took a previous low, a low to a high, and measured it off of a recent low. Took a low to a high, and that high is right before you see a red candle where it pulls back, right? Right before a pullback, and measured it off of a recent low. And then you can do the extension levels, and 9 times out of 10, that first extension or second extension lines up with this symmetrical level. Making sense yet? You got to see it over and over again before it starts to click. Here we have Tesla. So Tesla has a whole cluster of resistances. But I'm going to take all of it out. I'm going to show you how we got there. So we just wanted to measure, right? Let's pick anyone. Let's just pick a low to a high and measure it off of a recent low. Okay? Take another one. A low to a high, measure it off of a recent low. See the little cluster forming? And then once it breaks through that first symmetrical level, I'm going to take the second one out because they're right about the same place, just for ease of, for you to be able to see it better. Once it breaks through this level, now I want to see where it can go. That's when I go in and I add the other extensions. You go to Edit Properties, and you add the 1272 and the 1618. And that shows me once it breaks through where it can go. And look what happened. It literally hit that 1272 and pulled back. This is the next area of resistance where you could consider taking some profits, and you should be aware that it could have a reversal, not a little, it could have a reversal here. So pay attention to those levels, right? If you didn't know this was there, you wouldn't realize that it could pull back here. If you're trading this as a, let me remove that drawing. If you're just trading this as like a rounded bottom breakout, and you're like, oh, there it goes, it's above the 100, it's headed for the 200. And you get in it, and all of a sudden it hits what looks like midair and pulls back. Well, it's not midair, right? It's a Fibonacci extension level. I'm going to do it again, so I'm going to add those extensions. So we realize it's like, oh, look at that. That's why it pulled back. Had you not known about your extension levels, you wouldn't have realized that that resistance was there. Make sense? Let's take a look at V. Same thing, right? So V hit, and again, I'll remove these so we can draw them again. We go from a low to a high off of a recent low. You can go any one of these you want, right? You can go here. I think when we actually measured it, because it was a couple of weeks back, we measured it from down here. But now we could do a new one, right? Let's do a new one. Let's see where it can go. Let's go a low to a high. Oops. A low to a high. And let's measure it off of this low. So this is telling you that V could possibly go to this 183 symmetrical level, right? You could do it a couple of times. Let's measure this and this, see if we find a little cluster area. Oops. Sometimes this tool is a little funny. It's very sensitive. Okay, right to that, right there. So this gives you a couple of areas, right, where it could go. And sometimes when you measure, when you add the extension, as I said before, I'm going to add the 1272 and the 1618 extensions, and look what happens. That next level pretty much lines up with the 1272, right? So we could just remove that. So that's telling you there's a little bit more resistance there. Now let's take a look at some that land at the 1272. Let's look at Chipotle. Chipotle, one of my favorites, right? Chipotle hit the 1272. How did I get it? I took a measurement from a low to a high off of a recent low. So I'll remove it and show you. So I measured this low to high, and I measured it off of this recent low. right? You could do it a couple times, low to high, measure it off of this recent low. See, it starts to form a little cluster. And I'm going to remove the second one just for ease of viewing. You see how it's hitting this resistance. It's hitting this symmetrical level, this 100% of this move of a prior swing. It's hitting it. So we may see some resistance there for a little bit. Now I know, I think they have earnings coming up at this point on this recording. They may have it today or tomorrow. So you should be aware of that, right? Actually, let's see. Yeah, on the 23rd, tomorrow, after markets. You should be aware of that. That's a major catalyst, right? So what can happen here? Well, we don't know, right? It can either go, it can tank or it can soar. Just depends on the market's reaction to their earnings, not the actual earnings, right? Just the market's reaction to it. Okay, let's look at dominoes. Here's what can happen when it hits this second level, the 1272 extension, and doesn't hold, right? If usually what you want to see it do is hold this symmetry as support. What was previous resistance, we want it to be support. If that support doesn't hold, here's what can happen. Also, dominoes had earnings here, which was a major catalyst, right? But here's what can happen. It can just tank. Let's look at EA. Same thing, right? Came up, hit that 1272 level, and pulled back. Couldn't hold above that level. Sometimes they want to go for the next level. Sometimes they don't. And how did we figure that out? Again, we drew the levels. Let's remove it. We just took a low to a high and measured it off a recent low, right? We did that here. You could do it here. You could do it here. At the time when we did this, this was the most recent low. This hadn't happened yet. And then we did the extensions. We added the 1272 and the 1618. I don't add them until it breaks through symmetry. I don't need to know for my purposes. Everybody's different. For my trading style, I don't add these extensions until it shows me that it's hitting it and it's hanging out there or it's breaking through it. If it's down here, I don't need to know those extensions yet. Make sense? So once it breaks through, the next potential area of profit / reversal, right? Because you take your profit and it starts to reverse, is this 1272. And then it can just pull back. Let's take a look at QLYS. Same thing, right? We measured a low to a high off of a recent low, and it gave us this symmetrical level. And once it started breaking through, right? It's hanging out and it looks like it wants to get through there. Now I add the extensions. How do I do that? Right click, edit properties, and I add the 1272 and the 1618. And that tells me where it can go. And at this 1272, you know, sometimes they terminate at those extensions, this actual move. So here we go. It hit the 1272, didn't hold, held it a little bit, then broke right through that support, and it's pulling back. Let's look at Sage. Same thing, right? We measured a couple of them. We went from a low to a high off of a recent low, and we did it a couple of times, a low to a high off of a recent low, and it gave us this symmetrical level. Once it broke through, we wanted to see where it could go. Well, it hit that 1272 and then pulled back. Let's see what happens when it breaks through the 1272 area. Let's look at AMD. AMD, so you should be getting this right. We went from a low to a high and we measured it off a recent low. And that gave us the symmetrical level. Once it broke through, and let me just do it from scratch. So we went from a low to a high and we measured it off of this recent low. Once it went through there, I added the 1272 extension and the 1618 extension as potential areas of profit and reversal, right? Because you start to take your profit and people start selling, and it reverses. So here we are at the 1272, broke through, went right up to the 1618. Look at that. Literally hit it and pulled back. So you should be aware of these levels because you may not know. If you don't know that's there, you may not realize there's a high probability of a reversal at those areas. So you might get in this thing and, oh, look at this thing, it's going. And maybe you didn't look at your daily chart, so you didn't see that resistance right there, right? See where it lined up? But you see it continue. Even if you saw it, you're like, yeah, but it's still going, and you didn't see this, the 1618 extension. Very important for your trading decisions. Let's look at NXPI, same thing, right? We measured a low to a high off of a recent low, got the 100% symmetry, then it went up to the 1272, broke through, hit the 1618, just poked through it a little bit, and pulled right back. Let's look at CAT. Same thing, right? We measured a low to a high and off of a recent low, got the symmetrical level, the first 100% of this move measured against this move. How high can it go? Oh, look at that, 100%. And once it breaks through, the next level is the 1272, which it went to, right? Next day after that, broke through, went all the way up and pulled back right below. I mean, really, you can't make that up. Right below, and it's right hovering at that 1618, right? And then came down. And then after that, when it couldn't hold there and continued down, right, it went right down, trying it again, hit that level. So now we got a double top happening, right? And pulling back, but it's holding symmetry. See how it's holding right here? It's holding that support. So that could be some good news, right? It's hovering right at this 8 EMA, the yellow line on that daily, but it's holding it. So maybe CAT wants to turn around and come back up. So you might want to keep your eyes on that one. Let's look at Triple M. Triple M is in this rounded bottom breakout pattern, right? But if you didn't realize there was symmetrical, not symmetrical, Fibonacci extensions here, you wouldn't see that it could pull back there. So again, like with Tesla, right? Remember Tesla? If you didn't see that they had that resistance there, you might think it's just going to keep going right to that 200, which is what the profit target, right? The ultimate target of the rounded bottom breakout is. So Triple M, here it goes. They have earnings coming up as well, right? On the 25th. So Triple M, here we go, went right up to that 1618 and pulled back. And again, if you didn't know this was there, you wouldn't realize that it can stop and it can reverse here. Very important for your trading decisions. ANET, same thing, right? We measured a low to a high off of a recent low, gave us the symmetry, the 100% of the move, and then it went to the 1272, went right up through, hit the 1618 and pulled back. And now it's hovering right below the 1272. Very interesting levels. If you're not aware of them, it can be harmful, right? You may not realize, you were thinking this thing's going to continue up, but you didn't see that it had this obvious resistance there on that daily. Another thing to look at is when it has a Fibonacci retracement. Remember last month we talked about Fibonacci retracements, which is a huge move, right? You have this huge move in a short period of time. Once it retraces, if it's hovering above that 1/3, then I go back in, and let me show you. Let me just do it from the jump. Remove that drawing. Okay, so let's look. And last time we looked at Humana, and we said, okay, look, Humana is having this huge move. It actually was to here. And it pulled back, and it was hovering at 1/3 retracement. Now, once it's holding there, right, it's holding that 1/3, we want to see where it can go. Oops. So what I want to do, I'm going to remove this because we already know this is 1/3. It's holding. So I'm going to get that out of the way for ease of viewing. And I'm going to go right back to my Fibonacci Extensions tool. And now I want to go, okay, it's holding here. Where can it go? Well, I'll measure a low to a high. Let's go right here. Low to a high off of a recent low, which would be this. And that gives me that 100% symmetrical level. And look at it, literally went right to that. You can't make this up, folks. Went right to that level. Okay, same thing with UNH, right? UNH had that huge Fibonacci move. So we did the same thing. We measured that one, we measured from we took a low to a high and measured off of a recent low to see where it could go. This was the low we measured off. I'm going to take this one out. See the low here? So How about this? I'm going to remove it and show you again. So we went from a low to a high, and and then we measured it off of that recent low. It broke through that level, so now we want to see where could it go. We add the 1272 and the 1618, and it shows you, okay, it broke right through, went right through that 1272 and literally hit that 1618 and pulled back. It's almost like magic, right? You can't make this up. It literally hit that area. If you did not know, and you did not know your Fibonacci extensions and how to draw them, you wouldn't have seen that resistance there. Same thing with CI, right? CI broke through. This extension level, the 1618, basically lined up with this red line, which is the 200. That's the 200 simple, the daily moving average. And poked through, pulled right back, and is pulling back. Same thing with AVLR, right? Let's remove those drawings, and let me show you. So AVLR, similar, sort of a Fibonacci retracement, right, over a few days, not like a 1 to 2 day move. So we can measure it continued in this uptrend till it turned around. So this is the 1/3 holding right in this $78 area, right? So now what I want to do, I'm going to remove this for ease of viewing, and I'm going to go back to my Fibonacci Extensions tool, and I'm going to measure from a low to a high off of a recent low, and then I'm going to do the extensions off of that to see where it could go. And so now it's broken through those levels, right? So you can do it again. Now you can go, all right, well, it's already through that. So let's just see off of the next level where it can go. A low to a high off of, let's look at off of this low. So this is the area I'd be looking at coming up on AVLR. If I were going to trade this, I'd be looking at this $88 area. Now, they also, you know, we're in the midst of earnings season, so you have to be aware of those catalysts, and because they can really affect, they can drastically affect your stock. It can shoot up, it can shoot down, depending on whether you're short or long. You want to pay attention to that. So anyway, if I'm trading AVLR, I'm looking at this area as the next level. Roku, same thing, right? We did several of these. Roku is a nice one. Roku tends to have these Fibonacci moves, like that nice big move, and then retraces about a third and continues up. Has a nice big move, retraces a third, continues up. Has had another nice big move, right, and another nice big move here. So let's see where Roku can go, right? Let's remove the drawings. And let's take a look. Now, let's just say this is a brand new move here. So we want to see where can Roku go from here. Well, I'll measure from a low to a high off of this recent low. Let me redo that. A low to a high off of this recent low. So if I'm trading Roku, I'd be generally looking at this 118. You can do it a few times. You know, you can go low to a high off of this recent low. And it's going to start to give you some areas, right? So this is the area that I'd be generally looking at for Roku to go. So if I'm trading Roku, swing trading, longer term, right? Maybe over longer term to me is anything more than a day. But if I'm swing trading Roku, I'd be looking at it to go to this area. Even if I'm trading intraday and it's moving, I want to know these levels. Say it's up at 117 and I get in this thing. I want to know that there's resistance there at that 118 area. Okay? All right, so how would I trade the options off of this? Well, very simple. Let's just say I'm trading, let's take Roku. I'm looking at Roku and it's at 106, all right? And it's actually now it's green today, right? It's starting to move up. So I'm gonna look over here and go, well, how would I trade this? One of two ways. There's actually more than one or two ways, but in general, if it's a Monday, I'm looking at this week's expiration, right? And I'm looking at the in the money options. And it's trading, what, 106.85, so 106.50, 107. I wouldn't choose this one because there's only 33 open interest, which means it's not highly liquid. I want something that's about 1,000 or more. So we have this one's fairly decent, except this theta is high. So I might consider this one. However, if I'm day trading, I'd probably do this one. But if I'm swing trading it, I'm more likely to go out to the monthly And let's see, what's in the money? 106, 107, there's nothing there. So you can either go up to this 105 that's in the money for $10.15 to 10.40, or you can go out a little further to this 110. Sometimes what I'll do is look at where do I think it can go, 118 to 122. So let's take a look. Let's go a little bit out of the money and go 118 to 120. There's nothing at 118. 122 doesn't exist on this one, so 120 would be the area I'd go. And I'd more likely than not choose this option right here for $4.30 to $4.50. It's very liquid. There's well over 1,000. It's a delta 33, which means it's going to not move as fast as a delta 50, right? It's going to move a little bit slower, but that's a beautiful one right there. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense and that has been helpful for you. So now we're going to go on back over to my slide. I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to share this information with you, for allowing me to be with you here. And if you like more information on building your financial portfolio, trading options with us, come visit us at www.ninjaoptionswarrior.com. Click on the memberships and it'll give you several options. And I just want you to know, I truly wish you the absolute best on your journey. If you are trading out there on your own, I highly recommend that you find a community of traders. We'd love to be that community for you, but please find yourself a community where you can learn and grow and get educated. Spend the time to educate yourself before you invest your hard-earned money, okay? And again, I truly wish you the absolute best. Thank you so much for allowing me to share with you, and God bless.